Today, I'm going to talk about how to remove an exhibit sticker from a document. So as you're getting ready for trial, you might be collecting your exhibits and notice that all of your exhibits have deposition exhibit stickers on them, and you might want to get rid of them so that it's not confusing for your record and for the jurors when you show them the exhibit. I'm going to show you how to do that, but before I do, I'm going to say that you should rethink whether this is exactly what you want to do. If you can find the original document, that's always going to be better, because while I'm going to show you how to remove an exhibit sticker from a document, you're really using a copy of a copy for your trial. And are you sure that's really what you want to do? Because you want to be able to bring to trial and to your jury the clearest, most legible exhibits you can. And if you can go back to the original digital that you were sent in discovery, that's always going to be better, and it's going to be easier than going through all the trouble of trying to remove an exhibit sticker anyway. But in the event that you can't do it, I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm also going to show you how to remove anything from a picture as well. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be a little bit more advanced and require tools beyond just Acrobat. But since we're on the subject, I think that it'll really work out. First, let's talk about an exhibit. So here's an exhibit I have from a case, and in the upper right-hand corner, you can see right there that there is an exhibit sticker on it. Now, there's two ways that you can get rid of this. The first way would be to redact it. And so let's go to the tools, and we have to go to the redaction tool, which isn't normally in the default tools on the right-hand side. So we actually have to go to the tools tab over here and scroll down. And in this protect and standardize section, there's a redact button. And once you hit the redact button, then you get some redaction tools. And in the properties, you can select what color it redacts to, and you can select a bright yellow, and you could do it that way. I won't go through all the redaction steps. I've already made a video about redactions. If you need to get a refresher on that, you can look up here. I'll post a link to that video. The other way that you can do it is by drawing just a yellow box on top of it. And again, check out that redaction video to talk about why you don't want to just draw a box over something if you're making a redaction. But in terms of just covering up or obscuring an exhibit sticker, this will be just fine. So let's close that redaction toolbox, and then we're going to go to the comments tools, and we'll minimize that comment section here. But what we need is these drawing tools up top, and here on this icon is an option for more shapes. And we're gonna grab, you can do it a couple of ways. I'll show you both ways. The first way is, if it's something like this where there's a bunch of white space around that sticker, I would just draw a big square around that exhibit sticker, and then you could see it's still transparent, so that's not exactly obscuring it. But if I right click on that shape and go to properties, then I can change the outline, the border of that shape, and I'll change that style to no border. And I can change what the shape is filled in with, and by adjusting the fill color, and I'll just set it to white. So once I hit OK, then I've got a nice white box covering that up. So if I print this out or I send this to my printer to put on a board, I can do that. Again, it'd be better to have the digital original that doesn't have this white box on it, especially if you're gonna get it printed and blown up, but this will work in a pinch. The next thing I wanna do is, what if you don't have a whole bunch of white space around your exhibit? And to do that, let's open up this other exhibit I have here. It's exhibit 18 in the case. And what I have here is a photograph that was used in a deposition that has an exhibit sticker on it, and now we wanna use it for trial. And again, let's stop and take a minute to think about this exhibit. This was originally a digital photo that was then printed out onto crappy paper, and then it had an exhibit sticker put on it to be used at a deposition, and now it was scanned. And so it's a copy of a copy. And so now you're gonna put a yellow box over it so as to obscure the exhibit sticker. That's fine if that's what you have to do, but try and get that digital photo of the original. It's gonna be beautiful, it's gonna be huge, and it won't have any exhibit stickers on it. It's gonna be fantastic. Unless the witness is actually drawn on this exhibit, there's really no reason that you shouldn't go back and get that original, or that you shouldn't have the original because it was produced to you in discovery. But anyway, let's say, for example, that you just, maybe it's a time issue and you just need to get this redacted. Let me show you how to do it. The one way we could do is we could do the same thing that we just did. Right, go to this comment bar, open up a shape, pick a rectangle, and draw a shape around it. And we can even adjust it a little bit. And we can change the parameters of that shape to make it white, no border, and we'll do the same thing again and make it white. Right, so then we got it. But then if we zoom out a little bit, we have this kind of chunk cut out of our exhibit and it looks a little bit distracting. So here's what else we can do. Let's delete that and I'll zoom back in on it and take a closer look at that exhibit. The other shape that we have available to us is in that same area is this polygon. And what the polygon is, it's going to let you click with your mouse at a couple of different points, and then when you click back on the point you started, it'll fill in whatever shape that is. And so that's going to be really useful here. So what I'll do is I'll click around the borders of the yellow. I'll click a whole bunch of times and get around this exhibit sticker here. And now that I've closed that loop, I have this shape that's available to me. And now I just have to change the parameters or the properties just like I did with that white box. So go right click on it, hit properties, and you got to right click exactly on the border to get it. Change the border to no border, and we'll go back to filling it. This time we'll fill it in with yellow. Right? So now I got a nice bright yellow, and what I can even do is I can adjust these points here so that I could really finely tune it to where I need it to go. And then when I zoom out, I see that it's a yellow exhibit sticker is on there, but it's not distracting with a prior deposition exhibit name or number or date or anything like that. So it's just a yellow exhibit sticker. So that's another way that you can do it. Now let me talk about kind of the super advanced way, and that's going to require us to use some Photoshop. And I have to put a kind of a disclaimer on this too. I'm always very cautious whenever I have to open up Photoshop when we're talking about exhibits for a trial. I always give that warning to the attorney that asks me to do something that requires Photoshop, and I always am very careful to only use it in the instance like this where this portion of the photo really isn't all that significant to the exhibit at all. And so nothing that, I'm not going to alter an exhibit, I'm not going to change an exhibit or do anything like that to tip the scales at all. I'm just doing it to get rid of this yellow exhibit sticker. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'll just delete this so we can get back to the base exhibit. First, I need to convert this to a picture. If you don't know how to do that, I'll show it to you, but I've also got another video that completely covers that up in the left-hand corner there. So what I'll do is I'll save it as, and I could pick whatever location I want, and I'm going to choose to save it as a JPEG, right? So then I'll just save that, keep it as the same name, and I'll save it. And now I'm going to open up Photoshop. So now I've got this photo in Photoshop, and what Photoshop has is something that's super amazing called content-aware deletion. So now all I have to do is select the rectangle tool around that exhibit sticker and hit delete, and then a pop-up will appear, and this pop-up will ask me, what do I want to fill in if I delete it? Do I just want to make it a blank spot? Do I want to make whatever I delete transparent? Do I want to fill it in with white or another color? Or do I want to do content-aware deletion? I hit OK with content-aware deletion, and then all of a sudden that exhibit sticker is gone. So let's zoom in on that just a little bit so we get a closer look at it. It's not absolutely perfect. What Photoshop is doing is trying to figure out by what's around it what should have been behind that thing that I deleted. It's kind of really, really smart and just absolutely amazing on how fast it did it. I can't imagine how it does it so quickly, but it does. And it's not perfect because you could see that we know that this is like an event or an air grate, and it should be just straight across, but it's giving us some kind of jagged lines. That's okay, because when we zoom out, you don't really even notice. And again, this isn't a critical part evidentiary wise of this exhibit, and so no one really know, because everything that we're looking at and talking about in this case is going to be happening right on that sidewalk. So now we just have the exhibit. No one would even know that there used to be an exhibit sticker there or that something has been deleted. Although if you were to do that in litigation, in a courtroom, I would certainly let opposing counsel know, because the last thing that you want to have happen is for opposing counsel to jump up during the middle of your exam in open court in front of a jury and say, "Judge, objection, I think this document has been altered." So you want to avoid that. Again, go back and find the digital original, get that JPEG photo, not the PDF, not a scan of the printout, get the original and use that. You're gonna be much happier with it. But in case you need to do it, here it is. There's one other case where I use this where we absolutely had to do this. We didn't have any way of doing it otherwise. And that was in a case involving a car accident where there were multiple passengers in the car, and one of the passengers had settled out of the case. And for whatever reason, I think it was a split the baby kind of decision, the judge ordered that any photographs that were shown from the accident scene couldn't show any of the settled plaintiffs in it for whatever reason. That didn't make a ton of sense to me, but you know, whatever the judge says is whatever the judge says. So we had to redact that photograph if we wanted to use it, and we definitely wanted to use it in that case. So let me open that file really quick. And this is the original file that I got, and the original file that I got was sent to me from the client, and it wasn't a very high quality photo. And the reason why we couldn't go back and use something else is because this was taken at the time of the accident when people were responding, and there's this person laying in the grass here who had settled out of the case. And so one of the things that I did in that situation was I was able to use the same content-aware deletion to delete her out of the image. And this isn't the one that I worked on. I had a higher resolution image that I ultimately had to badger my client about going to get and give to me so that I could do it. But I'm going to use a Lasso Tool, which is something that is in Photoshop that lets me get something that's a little bit tighter, and so that way the computer has to do less thinking and guessing as to what to fill in. And so I've encapsulated or lassoed the thing that I want to delete. I'll hit the delete button, make sure it's on content aware, and all of a sudden that person is gone from the image. And so if I zoom in really close on it, I can kind of tell maybe that there used to be something there, or maybe that something's been altered, but it's a grassy area, so it just looks like maybe some trampled grass. So I wouldn't necessarily think anything of it. And there you have it. And so I will turn off that kind of selection mark. And now you just see the remaining plaintiff who was in the lower left-hand corner of this photo, and you don't see any of the other settled plaintiffs from this case. And so we were able to use this photo in court. Whether that was the right decision by the judge, I'm not exactly sure, but that's what happened. And let me show you what the high-res version of that looked like. And so we had this scene. Zoom in a little bit. So we zoom in, and here is that area down here where that person was laying in the grass, and you can see what's in there a little bit. But it just really kind of looks like trampled grass, and unless you were really looking for it, you wouldn't even know that it's there. And let me put them up kind of side by side so you can see those. Let me get that photo. I'll open that up, put that in the corner. So we've got that. And we've got that. So now we've got the two things side by side, and you can kind of tell this is the before and this is the after. This made me really uncomfortable to do, but I had the blessing of the judge, the very explicit blessing of the judge, and the opposing counsels knew exactly what we were doing. And it was because of a motion in limine that the defense counsel had filed saying that we shouldn't be able to show any accident scene photos of any settled plaintiffs. So this is kind of like the way that the judge kind of split things down the middle, I think. And so I think that's what the rationale was. But you can redact anything using Photoshop, using the content-aware redaction tool. But other than that, if you just need to remove an exhibit sticker, you can either use redaction, or you can just draw a rectangle and fill it in with either a yellow color if it's an exhibit sticker, or a blue color if it's a blue exhibit sticker, or even just white. Or if it's in a completely white area, you can use a completely white box to just completely obscure the entire exhibit sticker so no one even knows anything was there. So those are a couple of ways to do it. If you have any questions about that, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'd love to talk to you guys down there. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.